Ever feel like the Canadian housing market is like always in the news?
It certainly is a hot topic.
Yeah, and it feels like it's been a wild ride these past few years,
Right,
right?
absolutely. Lots of ups and downs.
Well, today we're going to try to make some sense of it all, right? We're diving deep into a recent RE/MAX report
Okay, yeah.
based on a survey, get this, of over 1,500 Canadians.
Wow, that's a good sample size.
It gives us like a peek, right, into what people are actually thinking and planning when it comes to, their homes.
That's what I find so fascinating about these kinds of reports, right?
Me too.
It's not just numbers on a page.
Yeah.
You get to see like the hopes and fears and, the actual decisions of real people, right?
Yeah.
Canadians from all walks of life.
Exactly. And we're going to unpack all of that today, starting with this one stat. You ready?
Hit me.
60% of Canadians already own their homes.
See, that's a lot higher than I would guess.
Me too. I thought that number would be way lower, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is a significant figure. I think it speaks to, that the appeal of owning a home in Canada.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a big thing here.
It is.
But, there's a nuance here when we dig a little deeper, right?
Yeah.
So many Canadians have already, they've achieved that dream of home ownership.
Right.
But the path to getting there,
Right.
it seems like it's getting harder and harder for others, right?
Yeah.
Only 7% of those surveyed plan to buy a home soon. With like a small percentage kind of spread out over the next, few years.
Yeah, that's a big difference. What do you think is driving that? Is it all about affordability, or is there more to it?
I mean, affordability is a big deal.
Of course.
Interest rates are higher than they've been. Inflation's eating away at everyone's, what they can buy.
Yeah.
But I also think it's about people are changing their priorities, right? Like, we're seeing a growing number of people who are like, you know what, I'd rather travel, or I want to invest in something else, or I just want to have experiences.
Experiences rather than just, be tied down to a mortgage.
But even with those changes, and this is the part that I think is super interesting, a huge majority, like 73% of Canadians, they still say that owning a home, it's the best long-term investment.
It's interesting, right?
It is.
It's like they see all this stuff going on, but there's still this like deep belief that real estate, it's stable. It holds its value.
Yeah.
Which, actually kind of leads into another interesting finding from the report. You ready for this?
Lay it on me.
50% of Canadians say they feel better about the housing market now than they did a year ago.
So they're more optimistic now. Why is that?
I think it's a few things, right?
Okay.
In some markets, prices have kind of calmed down a bit, right?
Right.
They're not shooting up like crazy anymore.
And I think there's a sense that maybe the craziness of the past few years, it's starting to level off. Interest rates are still higher. We talked about that. But they're at least not, spiking every other week.
Cool.
People are kind of getting used to it.
Right.
But there's a catch.
Okay.
Only 35% actually think things are going to get better in 2025.
So like optimistic, but also a little cautious.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe the worst is over.
Right.
But they're not exactly breaking out the champagne just yet.
Totally.
And, in that kind of situation where there's so much uncertainty, that's where having like a real expert in your corner, that's when it really makes a difference.
Yeah, it makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Like in this day and age, with all the information online, Zillow and Redfin and all those sites, what makes a real estate agent? What makes them so valuable still?
It's a good question. It's tempting to think, oh, I can just do it all myself, right?
Yeah.
But a good agent, they offer more than just, here's a list of houses.
Yeah.
They actually know the market inside and out.
Right.
They know how to negotiate. They see those trends, those local trends that you might completely miss. Like they can help you make sense of all the data.
Right.
Cut through all the noise, and then ultimately make a smart decision that actually works for you, your individual goals.
So we've talked about, some of the big trends, right? What Canadians are thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears a little bit and talk about you, the listener, right?
Yeah.
What can you take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. The Canadian housing market, it's changing, right?
Yeah.
It's not the same as it was 5 years ago, even a year ago.
Right.
Things are stabilizing, yeah. But affordability, that's still a huge issue for a lot of people.
Right.
So what does that mean for you? It means you got to plan carefully, do your research, and maybe, just maybe, be open to adjusting your expectations a little bit.
And maybe don't be afraid to talk to an expert, right? Like we said, 60% of Canadians, they still trust real estate agents.
Absolutely. It's not just about finding a house.
Right.
It's about making a good decision.
Right.
But one thing I do want to add, this report, it's focused on Canada as a whole, right?
Right.
But real estate, it's local.
That's a good point.
So while those national trends, they give you some context.
Yeah.
The market in your city, your neighborhood, even your street, that could be totally different.
It could.
Your local economy, how many people are moving in, how much new construction is happening, all that stuff matters.
So we've got like this mix of, I don't know, optimism, but also some real challenges.
Yeah.
And it seems like Canadians still believe in experts.
Yeah.
They want that advice.
For sure. And that's the best part about these kinds of deep dives, right?
Yeah.
We're not here to give you all the answers. We're
Right.
here to get you thinking, get you asking those questions, and really understanding, like, what's going on in your own little corner of Canada.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. This deep dive, it's just a snapshot, but it's given us a lot to think about. So do your research, talk to the experts, and remember, the only constant in real estate, it's change.
You got that right.